Good morning. How to fill out Form 941 for 2020, Part 2. We are working on Part 1 of Form 941 and we just completed calculating Social Security wages, calculating tax on calculating Social Security tax on wages. There is something I'd like to point out is Social Security tax has a wage limit. So you are going to track your employees' wages, and for any employee that you will pay Social Security tax on, you will collect Social Security tax on your employees, from your employees' wages, and you will pay Social Security tax as well, but up to 124,800, I believe, for 2021. That's the max. You can look in the instructions when you are filing a IRS form. It is good you open the publication related to the form, the instructions related to the form, so that, okay, this seems to be blank here, so that you can see if there is something that is related to your situation that you need to take into consideration. So if you are looking for a form, you can either go to our website and pretty much upload it, access the link there, or you can just go to irs.gov and you'll type, we can just type Form 941, and a lot of the time when you don't type the form you are looking for properly, it may not pull it out. So we want the instructions. Okay, so okay, I say 124, right? But it's 142, is 142,800. So let's go to probably page 8 or 7. Okay, we need to go past that. Okay, so sorry about that. The limit is 142,800. So you will pay, you will collect and pay Social Security tax on the wages, including qualified sick leave, qualified family leave, tips, until you reach 142,800 for the year. And then you stop collecting Social Security tax on that employee's salary. But the Medicaid tax will continue to be applied to that employee's wages, but the Social Security will stop. So that's something I want to point out. Okay, so now in this session we are going to talk about Medicaid wages and tips. So Medicaid tax on wages and tips. So Form 941 Part 1 5C, Taxable Medicaid wages and tips. So you will put the wages and tips that are subject to Medicaid in column 1 of 5C. So in this example, it's going to be 1,126 as well. And you'll time it by 0.029, which is the total of employee and employer share of Medicaid tax rates. So you, the employer, and the employee are going to pay tax, Medicaid tax on the employee wages. And that will go in column 2. And we are calculating it for quarter 1. So if you have a payroll spreadsheet, we have the payrolls here, and you'll notice it has wages, it has column for tips, and the total for quarter 1. It might be hard to use the federal income tax tab for it because it's where you enter all your pay, and that'll just be more than 1 quarter. But you do have the total wages section, total employee earnings, and that's 1,126 for the selected area. But we are looking for total employee Medicaid. So might be helpful to file Social Security tax return if you are tracking the employee Medicaid tax at this level. You might find it useful at the end of the year when you are filing W2 and 3. So for the first quarter, an employee side only is $16.33, but you have to double it to find for employee and employer. So we can continue to see if we have a section for it. So total Medicaid tax, total employer and employee Medicaid tax is $32.65. So $32.65, we can double check it. For the employee is 16.33, I believe. So if we take that times 2, it's 32.66. And if we go back to, let me just wipe this out of here. If we go back to total Medicaid, 32.65. So rounding issue. So we will go to in fact, we can do that calculation here as well. The one on the form said to take 1,126 times 0.029, if I'm right. So 32.65.4. So you'll put 32.65 in the second column for line C, 5C. 5D, taxable wages and tips subject to additional Medicaid tax withholding. And it is 0.009. And if an employee, you will track your payrolls. If an employee salary is over $200,000, that employee will pay an extra tax on his or her wages. So you are tracking total wages by staff and by period, by month and by month. So if at some point one of them is more than 200,000, then they are, the wages for that quarter will be multiplied by 0.029, and then if that employee went over $200,000, then an additional 0.009 will be applied to the wages as well. So the employer does not pay that, just the employees. So you will find information on it. Need to close this. You'll find information on it in the instructions for Form 941, page 12. Taxable wages tip subject to additional Medicaid tax withholding. So enter all wages including qualified sick leave wages, qualified family leave wages, and qualified wages excluding qualified health plan expenses for the employer retention credit, tips and sick pay and taxable fringe benefits that are subject to additional Medicaid tax withholding. You are required to begin withholding additional Medicaid tax in the pay period which you pay wages in excess of $200,000 to an employee and continue to withhold it each pay period until the end of the calendar year. So additional Medicare tax is imposed imposed on the employee. There is no employer share of additional Medicaid tax. All wages that are subject to Medicaid tax are subject to additional Medicaid tax withholding if paid in excess of the $200,000 withholding threshold. So if you are paying the employee and the employee salary is over $200,000, for the quarter you are filing for, if the employer is over $200,000 in wages, the amount paid to the employer during that quarter will be imposed that 0.0029 for both you, the employer, and the employee. The excess over that $200,000 will go on the line 5D and will be imposed an additional 0.009. So all wages that are subject to Medicaid tax are subject to additional Medicaid tax withholding if paid in excess of the $200,000 withholding threshold. So anything you pay in excess of that $200,000 will be going on line 5D and impose 0.009, and the amount will go in column 2. And the one that you and the employer pay is 0.029 for both of you. To find the part that goes to the employer and the part that goes to the employee is just a half of it, and half of that, see here, 0.029 divided by 2 will be 0.009. 0.145. It's like 1.45%, I believe. Medicaid tax for employee and 1.45% Medicaid tax for the employer, up to $200,000 wage limits. Line 5E, total Social Security and Medicaid tax. So you'll add all the column 2 from line 5A to line 5D. So it's going to be $139.62 plus $32.65. And it will go on line 5E. And so let's check if our spreadsheet has a figure out for us. So we do have, so we are looking for total of, let's go check again, total of Social Security and Medicare tax. So we do have a summary. We do have the total Medicare, okay, total employer Social Security and Medicaid tax. And we might have total employees as well, but let's check our summary report here. So we have employee Social Security, employee Medicaid, employee income tax, employer Social Security tax, employer Medicaid tax. And right now we want total Social Security tax and total Medicaid tax. So that is going to be for the first quarter. Is going to be not all of that. Everything but the employee income tax, so it's going to be 172.28. So 172.28, and we can just bring a calculator here, and it seems to me that it's going to be 27 in this section here. And let's but that's one way you could, okay, so $139.62 plus 32.65, 172.27. Okay, so line 5F, section 3121, Q notice of demand, that's due on unreported tips. So you can read the instructions if that apply to you. So that's if some tips were not reported to you, for you to apply tax on any tax due on that will go on line 5F. But you can read the instructions to form 941 for more information on it. So total taxes before adjustment, so that will include our line 5E, total Social Security and Medicaid taxes, and our line 3, federal income tax withheld on employee wages. So let's go check that. And this tax due on unreported tips. So line C is going to be 62.70 plus 172.27, and I believe we do have a spreadsheet that was doing it for us. So 234.98 So 234 point, it will be 97 in our case here, rounding issue. So with this amount, let's go up a little bit here, and 6270 plus 62.70, 134.97. So you don't know if you notice it, but I didn't enter my cents at the last part. So when you are filing tax, you already have cents there. You don't need to add points. So you just need to type it properly, put the dollar on the dollar side and the cents on the cent side. So 234.97. So line 7, current quarter adjustment for fraction of cents. So you'll notice that we are having some cents issue. So it's usually because here you are calculating employee and employer share of Social Security tax and employer and employer share of Medicaid tax. So divided by 2, you might have a rounding issue, just like the way we are having it from our spreadsheet to this form. So if you make deposits and the amount you deposited is a few cents higher or less compared to the amount you are entering in the form, then you want to make that adjustment on line 7. So we are like about a cent higher than what we are entering here. So if we have made deposit and we pay 1 cent higher, then it will be pretty much 1 cent adjustment here, if I'm putting it right. It's not even 1 cent. Then we can use, so, and it can be a positive number, it can be a negative number depending on your issue. And if you are for negative number, a lot of time when you put negative, the form is not accepting it, then you try parentheses. But in this case, when I put negative, it works. So I'm not going to add any adjustment in this line, but pretty much you can have that issue depending on how much you pay and how much this calculation is going. You might have some fraction adjustment, some fraction of cents adjustment to do. Line A, current quarters adjustment of sick pay. So you might want to read more instructions on that in case there is a third party that pay pay sick pay and the third party is not your agent. There is those exceptions that you have to look to see which one applies. So if you have sick pay, family leave pay, you might want to read the instructions on that to see if there is some adjustment you need to make, and you'll find those informations on starting page 12 of the instruction for Form 941. So current quarter pay. So if you're a third-party payer of sick pay that isn't your agent, transfer the liability for the employer share of the Social Security and Medicaid tax to you into a negative adjustment on line 8 for the employee share of Social Security and Medicaid tax that were withheld and deposited by your third-party sick pay payer on the sick pay. So you can read more on that if that applies to you. So current quarters adjustment for tips and group term life insurance, the same thing will be here as well. So you might want to read the instructions on page 13 on the unreported, uncollected, employee share of Social Security, Medicaid tax, and so forth, relate to tips and group term life insurance, and made the adjustment. So line 10, total taxes and adjustment. So that'll be the total from line 6 to through line 9. So line 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 will go on line 10, and that will be $234.97, assuming our numbers in this example are accurate, but you get the point. Line 11, qualified small business payroll tax credits for increasing research activities. So if you are qualified for a tax credit for research activities, then you might want to look at Form 8974 and its instructions completed and attach it to this Form 941 if you qualify for that credit. Line 11B, non-refundable portion of credit for qualified sick and family leave wages from Worksheet 1. And Worksheet 1 might be found on the publication 941. If you just click on that, it is on the last page, page 20. And if you qualify for credit for sick and family leave, then you might want to complete that form to determine the non-refundable portion and the refundable portion of it. So you'll have non-refundable portion and refundable portion for each one of them. Employee retention credits, qualified sick leave, and qualified so you have sick leave and family leave and employee retention credits. So there might be time frame as well for when that applies. So you might want to read more about it and complete it if you are qualified. So the non-refundable portion will go on line 11B for the sick leave and family leave wages from that worksheet, and 11C, non-refundable portion of employer retention credit from that worksheet will go on line 11C. And if you complete the form, you will notice that 2J, non-refundable portion, where that total should go per 1 line 11B, and 2K will go on per 1 line 13C for family leave, and for sick leave and family leave, and for employee retention credits, line 3H, non-refundable dollar amount will go on line 11C, and line 3I, non-refundable portion of employee retention credit, will go on line 13D. So, and the second page of Form 941, you will remember to put your name, now your trade name, and your employer identification number. If you are a sole proprietor, and you are using your social security, from the moment you start hiring people to work in your business, you need to get an EIN number, because if you file Form 941, you need an EIN number, not your social security number, to fill out the form. So you will get an EIN number if you have employees. And if you are a sole proprietor, you are the only one working in your business. You are not an employee of your business. If you are an L.L.C, you are not an employee of your business if you are the owner. But if you are an L.L.C taxed as an S Corp, you are an employee of your business. And as an L.L.C taxed as an S Corp, you should have an EIN number. So, yeah, if you're a sole proprietor, don't put your social security number on Form 941. Get an EIN number for it. And as a sole proprietor, for you to be filling out Form 941, chances are you have requested an EIN number, and as IRS responded with that number and added that you will complete the Form 941. So you use your EIN number. So Part 1, continue to page 2 of Form 941, and you have line 11D, total non-refundable credits. So you will total line 11A, line 11B, line 11C. And you'll notice that lines that I don't have any dollar amount, I just left them blank. So you can leave them blank when you don't have anything going to those lines. So we don't have any non-refundable credit, we leave them blank. And that will be all for this session. Thank you so much. I'm Afiavi Ojune Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting LLC. Thank you.